Hello everyone and welcome to another high elo game of Age of Empires. Today we're exploding with anticipation, get it? As the Viper playing as the Blue Turks prepares to take on Mr. Yo playing as the Red Spanish. Now while the players herd their herdables, explore their immediate surroundings and try to go up to Feudal as fast as possible, let's take a look at the Civ matchup we'll be watching today. Now the Turks are a civilization built around gunpowder. Their gunpowder units are created faster, have extra HP, come with cheaper technologies, and some gunpowder units can even be upgraded to get extra range. Now, staying on brand, the unique unit of the Turks is the Janissary, a more expensive but less accurate hand cannoneer with more range, more HP, a better attack, and more armor. But as we saw in a video about a week ago, no bonus against infantry. Now, on the field of battle, to support these heavy, expensive units, the Turks can actually field some pretty decent supporting units on their own right. Their scout line units do come with extra pierce armor, their cav archers can be upgraded to get extra HP, and their scout line units automatically upgrade to the next level upon hitting castle and imperial, which means that scouts become light cav become hussars automatically without having to pay or wait for the tech to be researched. Now, in order for the Turks to afford their gunpowder units, which, as we all know, are quite gold intensive, Turkish gold miners work 20% faster, the chemistry upgrade is free of charge, and the free upgrade to light cav and hussar does save the Turks about 1,300 resources in total. Now, Mr. Yo, as the Spanish, a paramilitary civilization that also loves its gunpowder units. The Spanish gunpowder units do fire faster, and their unique unit, the Conquistador, is a heavy-hitting, less accurate mounted hand cannoneer with more HP, more armor, but shorter range. Now, on the field of battle, to help them defend their costly units, the Spanish can actually train missionaries, which are basically mounted monks with less range that cannot pick up relics. Now, before you think the shorter range is a massive disadvantage, know that it may not necessarily be a problem, since the Spanish can upgrade both their monks and missionaries to convert enemy units faster. Now, to support their military-industrial complex, Spanish villagers build structures faster, their blacksmith upgrades cost no gold, and their trade units generate 25% more gold. Now, why did I call the Spanish civilization a paramilitary one? Because these guys, these villagers, can actually be upgraded to get extra HP, more armor, and a +6 attack boost, which together with the sappers upgrade makes their villagers very, very good and adept at taking down castles, buildings, towers, and even walls in the late game. So, very excited to see two incredibly powerful, heavy-hitting civilizations in the hands of two very powerful, incredibly talented players that need no introduction, the Viper, Mr. Yo. Let's take a look at the bases, see where they spawned, if any player is in a particular advantage or disadvantage. First of all, I'm going to zoom out because there does seem to be a ring of forests. I would want to say around Mr. Yo's base, but more in terms of the center of the map. And when we are going ranged units, gunpowder units, choke points do potentially play a huge role. And so we'll see if that actually happens this game. For now, though, let's zoom in on Mr. Yo's base and take a look if he has spawned advantageously or not. North, completely open. South and west, completely open. East, although less important, completely open. Primary gold to the side. Primary stone a little bit forward facing. I like the location of this gold, by the way, not too far off campus. Our Blue Turk, in very much a similar situation. Entire northeast completely open. To the southeast also open. South a little bit easier for him to wall off. Primary gold also a little bit off campus. Primary stone nice and secure in the back. So overall, no major noticeable differences between the bases of the two players. Let's see how they decide to progress here. The Viper, 20 villagers. Mr. Yo heading up to Feudal already on the back of only 18. Will hit Feudal first, already queuing up a few militia. 2 in the production tab in total. Let's see how Viper uses his extra villager advantage. He is now also going up to Feudal. So a fairly standard opening for both players. 1 wood line, 2 wood lines for the Viper. 1 wood line for Mr. Yo at this point. Other 2 wood lines very much in the forward facing position. Not sure he wants to take him this early on in case the Viper puts on any kind of early game aggression. At the moment, Mr. Yo is the one circling the Viper's base. Let's follow along on the scout's journey, see what he seen exactly. So Mr. Yo has basically seen the outer ring of the Viper's base. The Viper just now going to discover Mr. Yo's base. Actually, maybe not. Let's let's follow along on Sammy the Scout's journey here. You can see the Viper's score is lower. Much of the early score in this game has to do with scouting. Although resources, military, etc. obviously do play a role. Now the Viper has seen the outer edge of his opponent's base. Unfortunately, maybe looking at the other screen, at the other side of the map, does lose a villager here. Who has the honor of the kill? It is the Scout Cavalry, who survives with 2 HP. The Viper walling himself in. Not sure that's the best thing to do when your opponent's Scout has 2 HP. Meet him on the field of battle with a villager. Have him or her swipe with one swashbuckling sword and basically kill that Scout. Very easy peasy. For now, though, will the Viper lose a mill? Early aggression by Mr. Yo here so far. He has reached Feudal. Let's see what he's doing with his time advantage. Archery range going up for him. How does Viper plan on responding to this now that he's in Feudal as well? Does end up losing the mill, but already has a stable up, producing 2 scouts at a time. Heavy food investment here for our blue Turk. Remember, it's not a waste of resources to invest heavily in these scouts if you can keep them alive. Remember, the second he hits castle, if he hits castle, if the game goes to that point, I mean, like I said, I'm hoping that. Sorry, I keep interrupting myself. If the second he hits castle, those scouts automatically become light cav. And so for the Turks to pop out a few scouts in the early game is not a bad idea at all. Similar, in fact, to the Mongols, where you have that extra HP that sticks around for the remainder of the game. So we'll see what the Viper decides to do with these units. For now, they're not really doing much. Continuing to scout. Oh, but they do stumble upon 2 archers and a spearman, catching Mr. Yo's reinforcements in the middle of the map. Let's see what he decides to do about it. Will he go save his base? Not queuing up any more army is the Viper. I think he's believes himself to be nice and secure. Although immediately a skirmisher is trained. What are these guys doing? Okay, so my guess, if I had to guess, he's going to try to get some villagers on his own. Perhaps these berry-picking villagers, perhaps some of these lumberjacking villagers, but there is already a spearman out. No upgrades at all this early in the game, but just the presence alone is enough to shoo away the Viper's scouts. And now Mr. Yo has to be shooed away by the presence of a single skirmisher. Isn't it funny how Feudal Age aggression works? You try to get your opponent out of position. You try to tax their APM, their micro, their attention. You see if you can sneak in a few kills here or there, but then the presence of literally 1 unit nullifies your entire attack. Although in this case, 1 unit has now become 2. Mr. Yo, not his first time at this rodeo. Also, by the way, doubling back with this force, hoping that the Viper is out on the map, which is exactly what the Viper is doing. And now he's back to this cursed forage bush. Viper running away with half the villagers. The other 3 happy to continue gathering these berries. Now he's returning home, building another skirmisher, going up to 4. So the skirmisher will be they'll be okay against these men-at-arms with enough micro. They do outpace them. In theory, should never be able to catch these skirmishers, and little by little you tickle away at their HP, and then once those guys are gone, you can start working on the archers. Although I guess in this case, the Viper just says, you know, whatever the hell's in front of me, I'm going to work on that. But 1 spearman, bad pathing here for him. Lost communications with HQ, and all of a sudden takes an arrow to the back of the head and dies. Bad engage here for the Viper under a town center fire. Loses 2 men-at-arms immediately, and now these archers are exposed. Now these archers are basically dead. Literally everything that Viper has counters the army of Mr. Yo, but let's see if Mr. Yo actually cares. Let's see what he's doing back home. 630 food, 170 gold. We know exactly what he's doing. He's heading his ass up to castle off the back of a blacksmith and a vine-covered archery range. Has the Viper seen the wall off here? He's seen parts of it, so he must know that it's going to be completed at this point. All of Mr. Yo's expeditionary force is now dead. His army count has been reset to those 2 spearmen we saw down here, although they may not be here. There's only 1 here now, and this 1 scout that he's built. Pretty annoying, though, for Mr. Yo to have to go all the way around this entire enclosure if he wants to get out of his base. This is a good use of houses here by Mr. Yo, by the way. Not putting down a palisade, not attempting to wall it off with the weaker structures. The scout from the early part of the game. We'll see what kind of mischief he can get up to at the same time as the Viper. But now that the I'm not too sure why the Viper is engaging into here now that I was literally about to say, now that the skirmishers are here, the spearmen are potentially nullified. And let's see what he can get done. Our blue Turk. And what used to be a safe enclosure here against the raiding of the scouts now becomes a kill box that the skirmishers are happy to lay into. Mr. Yo has to be so careful with this 1 scout with its 2 HP, literally stubbing his toe on one of these blades of grass here will kill that scout. He runs north, he sees the wall off, he knows what's going on, so he knows exactly where the Viper's strong points are, where the Viper's weak points are. Will the Viper react? He reacts immediately. The villager does get 1 kill. Amazing play by the Viper, but amazing defense here by Mr. Yo as well. These guys have 2 kills on them, and those 2 kills are from the Viper's base. Not exactly villager kills here. Viper 0 economic kills, despite the fact that he's killed a lot more than Mr. Yo. And while I've been talking about skirmishers and looking at villager counts, Mr. Yo has hit Castle Age, the Viper, about 30 or 40 seconds behind his opponent. Both players losing scouts here. The Viper, like I said, the second in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Watch these guys. Boom. Light cav automatically. The amazing feature of the Turks. Has to be careful, though. Does get a villager. 1 extra town center. 2 extra town center. Another town center for Mr. Yo as well. Remember, these guys do build much faster. Not Sicilian fast, but pretty damn decent in their own right. I absolutely love this Turkish feature, by the way. Similar to the Bulgarian infantry. The militia line upgrades that the Bulgarian get automatically, but with the Turks, you get it for the cavalry, which just makes them so powerful. Again, 1,300 resources saved when you don't have to research light cav and hussar. It's incredible. 1,300 resources. But Mr. Yo shooing this force away with a knight. The Viper dogged in his pursuit of some kind of civilian kills. Finally does manage to get 3 with these light cavs. Let's follow along on their journey as well. See if the knights manage to shoo them away. A castle for Mr. Yo here on the high ground. Viper sees it immediately. Camel comes out for him. Let's see what kind of trouble he can get into now. What is this 1 blue dot here? This must be that weaker light cav. It is. Although there's an even weaker one here. How much HP on you? 7. Let's take a look at what the Viper's building in the meantime. Monk has already come out. Additional housing. He is very cognizant of the fact that he does not want to get supply blocked or housed. A lot of, I shouldn't say a lot, a few people noticed that I say supply blocked and supply capped, which I didn't know was a StarCraft term. I heard it while watching StarCraft videos and casts, but I didn't know that it was a term specific to StarCraft. Oh, amazing convert here by the Viper. Mr. Yo, perhaps distracted by the attack on this palisade. The Viper's got a good amount of units here, but take a look at their HP. Less than half. So he's got to be very careful. Numbers are one thing, but HP tells a completely different story here. No upgrades for anyone except the Viper, who now gets, you don't see it on this converted unit, but does manage to get the +1 armor upgrade. And remember, the Turks, their cavalry do come with +1 pierce armor. Rather, not their cavalry, but their scout line units here. These scout line scouts, hussars, I mean, scout cav. Viper notices that there's still a gap in his defenses. Oh no, this is going to be disastrous here. Let's see how many more kills he can get. So far, just the one. Body blocking with these light cav. Oh no, Mr. Yo, not paying attention, loses what looks like 4 villagers. But does he actually care? The conquistadors are out, much like the Portuguese rush to castle to get out their organ gun. Man, do the Spanish love to rush to castle to get out their conquistador. The Viper notices, by the way, immediately and plops down a castle of his own. I hope we get to see Gunpowder. That's why I said in the beginning of the game that this is an explosive matchup. Conquistador versus Janissary might just be the Gunpowder matchup that we've all been waiting for here. For now, though, the Viper running circles around these slower Spanish units, 1.43, 1.49. His units move at a 1.65, 1.6. So the Viper can continue bouncing around, distracting his opponent. Feudal Age Spearman, the last of his kind, is moving out. Viper has already collected 3 relics. Oh, the micro of these players is just something to behold. Fervor being researched for our blue Turk. Keep an eye on that speed. 1 second. Let me click on this. It will go from 0.7 to 0.8. Now the Viper is getting the hell out of dodge. Cocaine Bear chasing him, though. Loses interest. The high has crashed. He is now in a low. Does not have the energy to chase anymore. And the Viper is just exploring this part of the map. Scores have sort of gotten closer. They're not too far apart. The Viper here, let's take a look on eco. Man, 20 villagers ahead off the back of that earlier third town center. Mr. Yo has now also, by the way, added a third town center, going up to 66 villagers, but army supply identical. Oh, oh, it happens to everyone. It happens to everyone. Oh, Viper. It happened to you. It happened to us. The hills in this game are an optical illusion. Now Mysterio is going to be able to return the kills. Conquistadors, incredibly tanky units, despite the fact that they only have 75 HP right now. Oh my god, we've got a the good, the bad, and the ugly over here. Bear. Oh my god, he got a kill. I think he killed the camel. I think the bear killed the camel. The light cav killed the spearman. Guys, I know this is a bit unorthodox, but we're going to rewind and watch what the hell happened here. So the camel and the spearman engage. Okay, spearman kills camel. Bear kills spearman. Oh my god. Oh, I love this game so much. It's so much fun. Okay, now Mr. has to be careful, though, because these conks, I think, have 2 less range. Yeah, they're at a 6. Janissary's at an 8. But if there's ever a unit that can close the distance, it is a unit on a horse. Movement speed 1.43 compared to a measly 0.96. Mr. Yo with an aggressive middle of the map castle here. Right in range of this monastery. He's going to contest the relic taking of the Viper. The Viper, a second castle in a defensive position. Not a shock at all. The Viper, known mostly for his defensive turtling, booming, whatever the hell you want to call it. Different names for the exact same thing. He's a defensive player on the whole, but not to say he can't put on aggression. Poor bear. Conks on the high ground, not something you ever want to fight. Although I believe they have better accuracy, right? It should be 70 to 65. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, no, sorry. I might be thinking of Elite. Horrible accuracy, base of 50 for the Janissaries, 65 for the Conquistadors. I hope we get to see Elite, and then I'll see if I'm right. Let's take a look at in the meantime, economies still 20 or so villages apart. Army supplies still at 10 apiece, 11, 12. Another gap in the defenses. The Viper's defenses here, a bit Swiss cheesy, if I can put it like that. And now these Conquistadors, oh man, 4 Pierce armor means they don't care about your town center firing a few arrows at them. And again, they're going to close the distance with these Janissaries. The Viper already building a backwards monastery, knowing that the one over here is under attack, and that he's going to have to relocate the relics if he wants to keep that goal. Viper walling him in the way only the Viper can. And not... Whoa. I thought the villager started working on that. I guess he sniped the villager. Mr. Yo knows exactly who he's playing against, knows exactly where to hit, gets that villager before he can gate him in. Oh my god, how many shots to kill this villager? Oh, the luckiest, almost the luckiest villager in the world, almost made it. Janissary as well, 10 kills on these guys. Take a look at the kill count. Mr. Yo, 15 kills ahead. 8 of those are civilian kills. Continuing to shell away at this monastery now with a clump of conkies. Mr. Yo and the Viper both heading up to Imperial. The Viper adding another town center, a 4th for him. Mr. Yo still on the 3 that he had originally. And Viper will have a minute and a half in Imperial ahead of his opponent. And like I said, take a look at the town center. Just, they don't care. It's incredible. And my prediction, if I had to predict, the second he hits Imperial, we're going to see Trebs out of the Viper. He knows there's this castle here shelling away. It's now 2 relics to 0. The 3rd remaining out here. Oh, Mr. Yo being so annoying with these conquistadors managing to circle, but the saving grace here for the Viper is that their accuracy is terrible. I mean, they're not a Rambai with 20-30% accuracy, but man, do they have to close the distance. But again, on a horse, closing the distance, not exactly the biggest deal in the world. What did I say? Trebuchet, usually the first player to reach Imp. Monk tries to convert. Monk pays the price. Mr. Yos going up to 20 conquistadors. A 4th town center also well for him. Love this location, by the way. And now there's multi-pronged attacks. We've got a distraction attack here to the south. We've got another attack here to the north, finding, by the way, the monastery with the relics, if he hadn't already seen it. Now Mr. Yo, 13 seconds away from Imperial himself, has enough resources for 2 Trebs at the moment. Is Viper making any more? No, he is not. Bombard Cannon is the item on the menu for him, although Conquistadors are going to try to make an issue of that. And now the Turkish bonus feature characteristic. I never know what to call it. That light cab that's still stuck around has become a hussar, but unfortunately runs into a castle backed by a few conquistadors and dies immediately. Mr. Yo not interested in repairing this castle? What's a stone pile? Okay, he's got... That's so sour. 1 less stone than he needs to build a castle, although finally now with 6 miners does manage to get the requisite amount. Oh man, they're being so annoying. Take a look at villager kills, 31-7 at the moment. Another castle, beautiful location, king of the hill. Lots and lots of low ground around for that castle to see. Does end up losing this one, which collapses in a pile of rubble. And looks like Mr. Yo actually managed to thief one of the relics that the Viper had in there. This other relic, very secure in the castle firing zone, the radius. And so no red monk can make his way there. Did lose a conquistador here, it looks like. I mean, it looks like he lost a bunch of them here with these armor bits melting in the hot Arabian sun. Even though we are in the lush Greenland here, we are still in Arabia. Wild horses witnessing the carnage. A bear turning his back in disdain on humanity, saying, "In my animal kingdom, we do not kill each other for sport." And then immediately gets gunned down by conquistadors for sport. Man. Sorry, guys. If you're new to my casts, if this is your first, second, maybe third video that you're watching, you know that I like to obsess, and I absolutely love the wildlife on these maps, especially the aggressive cocaine bear, his cousins methamphetamine bear, and crack bear on the edges of the map. Now the Viper looks like he wants to do a few run-bys of his own here, saying, you know what? You have been harassing the back of my base for long enough. Wall goes up for him. Oh my goodness, the Conquistador is such an annoying unit to have to deal with. These Janissaries are going to take a sweet time, their sweet time to get there. But look at the Viper. Oh, you have 6 range? I'm going to build around 7 range, but still not enough range here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I thought this would have been enough range. I guess this and this are only, yeah, that's only 5 tiles away. Hussars distracting while what? The Janissaries make their way slowly. But now the Viper is in the back of Mr. Yo's base. 2 kills so far for these guys. Remember, again, they get that +1 extra Pierce Armor. So fully upgraded, they do have 7 Pierce Armor, which makes them incredibly powerful. Is this closed? This is not closed. What a sour development here for the Viper. 3 kills on these Hussars, not the greatest, but in come the Hussar reinforcements to the southwest of the map. And now these Conquistadors are going to be GTFO. By the way, elite Janissaries being researched. Accuracy increased to 65, and I think, again, if we get to see elite oh, we do have elite Conquistadors, 70. That's what I was talking about earlier. 5 kills now for these guys. Should be 6. Should be 7. What are the attack upgrades? No attack upgrades here for the Viper, so does not manage to get to 7th. Stuck on 6 kills. They both die. And now castle number 2 is starting to get shelled at, although realistically for Mr. Yo, it's castle number 4. Castle number 2 in terms of being attacked. Built a little bit south of where the other castle was, but now Viper housed, stuck at 170. Not a bad idea to build 4 houses at once. Might want to build 2 more. Right, he's at 75, 80. So yeah, 1 more here will get you to 200. And now we've got the battle of the kinda almost similar armies. Mirror images of each other. One attacks on a 22, one on an 18, one has 90 HP, one only has 50. So I leave it to somebody a lot smarter than me, Spirit of the Law maybe, to tell us who here has the more powerful army in terms of number. 24 Janissaries, 33 Conquistadors, but here 29 and here 22. So the Janissaries hit heavier, have longer range, but there are fewer of them and their HP is half that of these Conquistadors. The Viper though, run by with 20, finally does have an attack upgrade on these guys, the +1. Got a Hussar run by here. Mr. Yo also missing the second attack upgrade, although Iron Casting just about to finish for him. You know, we'll click on these units. Now there's 10. Wow, of the 20, only 10 made it into the base of Mr. Yo. We'll keep these units highlighted. So far they have 3 kills, but the more interesting battle is happening here. Conquistadors just shredding these calves, these Hussars. But the Viper replenishing at the rate of 4 per cycle. 10 Hussars, by the way, have now become 5. 2 of whom are basically dead. Mr. Yo's Hussars come in. Viper still just on +1 melee attack. His entire run by gets cleaned up, but take a look at the villager kills. Does start to even them out. 33 kills for the Viper, 44. So a much, much better ratio here for the Viper, even though he's down about 50 kills overall. And what is happening here? 1 Hussar no doubt will die the second he leaves this murder hole range, but does manage to get a villager. Okay. I mean, not the best trade, but a trade is better than no trade, I guess. Viper doing whatever he can here to hold the line. These high ground Janissaries, remember, an extra 25% attack for a unit that already does 22 damage is absolutely bonkers. Oh, another Conquistador falling, but the Vipers entered the attack radius of the castle. Luckily for him, these Hussars are targeting down what look like Trebs behind here. All the Trebs fall. Doesn't lose a single Janissary here. Incredible, incredible reinforcements from our Turk moving northeast. +4 attack, fully upgraded Hussars for Mr. Yo. Now remember, the Turks only get the extra Pierce armor, so that +5 here doesn't really matter when fighting other Hussars. melee armor is still the same. So for now, the advantage here to Mr. Yo. The Viper continues to chase these conquistadors into castle fire. Mr. Yo not interested in getting a Treb? Right as I say that, a Treb pops out here. Okay. Another run by attempt by the Viper. Right, he's seen this wall up before. I don't know what he was trying to do. This must be completely distractionary. Mr. Yo, I think, reversing the order of his army here. What a fantastic move, garrisoning the hussars so they don't have to go all the way around the castle, popping them out immediately to the left, and then rushing towards that, I don't want to say exposed Treb, because when you've got how many freaking elite Janissaries, 24 of them protecting you, not exactly exposed. The Viper attacking houses here. Mr. Yo just building a secondary wall off. What do you have in here? A few hussars. Brilliant move here by Mr. Yo. Absolutely wonderful. Didn't let his opponents see where those guys were going. Number one, had he gone south, the Viper would have known exactly what he was doing. And number two, just saves the time. Okay, so Mr. Yo cleaned up these few annoying hussars, but in their stead come 22 of the Vipers again. Still stuck at a +1 melee attack, but uh-oh. Some raiding here by these four. 4 kills so far. Parties engaged in 3 different locations. My goodness, is the micro of these players amazing. I mean, take a look at their Elos. Both of them pushing 2,700. So kind of expected, but always so impressive to see. Hussars again running by. Man, you know, when we watch arena games, when I cast those, and we enter the second stage of the game where the relic collection starts happening and the light cav and scout cav start coming out, I keep pointing out how incredibly agile the light cav in this game are. So anything from scout to light cav to hussar, they can run circles around each other. And how many trebs has the Viper lost here? Although Mr. Yo bleeding a good amount of food. Oh no, now the conks are getting surrounded. Again, lucky for him, the Viper just now got the +2 attack upgrade. Continuing to raid here, but look at this. Only 1 kill, finally a second kill. And the Viper getting the villager who was starting to build this castle. Oh, he ignores her. She continues. 96 HP on that castle. If the Viper had just sent some kind of force, 2 or 3 hussars might have even been able to get that castle down on their own. But look at this again. Look how agile these units are, just even around each other. Unless you literally ring your trebuchet with spearmen, pikemen, halbs, some kind of meat shield, those hussars are going to run around you day and night. 1.65 speed, incredibly fast. Bit of a defensive force here patrolling now. The Viper getting hoardings. I believe Mr. Yo already has it. Now the Viper is moving north with his Janissaries. Why is he moving this far out of position? Distracting down here as well. Now the blacksmith is under attack. Mr. Yo, though, has a few good villagers here that can go and build a secondary wall off. This is why he's engaging into the north. A few distractionary bait Janissaries to the front, luring the conquistadors. Literally perfectly placed here by the Viper, if that's what he was doing. Otherwise, you know, fortuitous movement by him. If he did that on purpose, amazingly a strategic play there. Sees the castle, does Mr. Yo, but runs around it. Now the Viper is raiding again. Now the Viper has more villager kills, 55 to 51. Should be able to get 1 or 2 more before these hussars go down, although maybe not. Their HP is pretty damn bad. Okay, turns around. Unfortunately for him, turns around a little bit too late, but the Viper has 12 villagers stuck in here, not able to really produce or do much. The bigger battle here to the middle of the map as we continue vying for position. Both players just trying to outmaneuver each other. This annoying little forest here in the middle, blocking, but annoying for them, amazing for us. Pikeman upgrade, architecture, bracer, scale mail armor, everyone and everything under the sun for Mr. Yo. Finally, blast furnace for the Viper, who is now population capped, which I believe is the Age of Empires term. If it's not, let me know in the comments below. How the hell I'm supposed to say that he's reached his maximum population? I like to say supply capped. Again, they rush in, these hussars. Oh, man. Viper, how many trebs is he going to lose this game? But does he actually care? I mean, he should. He's got 25 gold in the bank. 2 trebs go down. The third should survive unless the conquistadors decide to join the party. They do. 1 volley. Second volley destroys it. 3 trebs. I mean, it was costly. 3 trebs is 1,200 resources in total. But how many resources did Mr. Yo lose trying to get those trebs is a different question. I think the conquistadors, by the way, also fire fast, right? The seconds between attack, 2.9. These guys should be in the 3 range. 3.5. So again, just added confusion into the dynamic. Another treb for the Viper. Another treb for the Viper. Mr. Yo, 83 villagers on food. The Viper, 83 villagers on food. Oh, the Viper finally learned his lesson here. He learned his lesson. First volley goes off. Second volley goes off. Third volley goes off. Get the hell out of dodge. Oh, how many conquistadors are there on the ground here? What a sour loss for Mr. Yo, whose army supply is now, what, less than half of his opponents? The Viper learned his lesson, body blocked with a group of hussars here, and I see a few blue dots streaking across the back of Mr. Yo's base. We'll see what kind of harassment the Viper can do here. Man, Mr. Yo is tenacious, though. Has been knocked down to only 17 conquistadors, 30 janissaries, but take a look at their HP, down literally exactly a third of their HP. These conquistadors, even though there's only 17, still have more HP than these janissaries. And finally, this castle that's been sieged for the last 25 minutes falls. The Viper with a very aggressive castle here, protecting the population of mustangs, these wild horses, and a few forests. Good waypoint for him, by the way, to send his units to make sure they don't get attacked. I actually don't mind the positioning of this castle. Strategically, it makes a lot of sense, but Mr. Yo has enough hussars in the back to make sure that that raiding does not get too much done. Unfortunately for him, he's losing villagers here, the ones that were protecting, repairing, rebuilding that castle. And this is what I was talking about in the early part of the game when I was reviewing the bases. These forests in the middle of the map, I don't think they favor any particular player, but they absolutely do create a choke point. Imagine somebody had a siege onager right now. That would just absolutely destroy anything and everything in that choke point. Although remember, the Turks don't have siege onagers, neither do the Spanish. I'm just saying generally, because I know somebody in the comments is going to say, well, neither of these civs has the unit you think was going to help. Oh, you know, when you've gone hussars the entire game and then have to pivot to the slower pikemen halberdiers, never a good sign. I mean, not a bad maneuver, but just never a good sign. Usually heralds the start of the end, because once these hussars get in here, you can have as many halbs as you want positioned strategically. Although here there's one, there's two, there's one moving this way. But man, those hussars just run circles around them. Plus Mr. Yo, how many barracks does he have? Just 4. Stables more, 8. The siege of the monastery has begun. Viper's so confident that he's about to swarm his opponent. He's even attacking a defunct mining camp. Choke point shenanigans here. Both players throwing trash units into the center. One side has, again, 30 elite janissaries. The other side has now only 13, 11, 10. This is the end for Mr. Yo. Or at least it's definitely starting to look like that. He does have the exact same villager count, 122 to 121. Somehow, despite the Viper increasing the raiding count, Mr. Yo maintaining very similar civilian population, but take a look at the actual supply. The Viper able to reinforce his army a lot quicker. Mr. Yo bleeding resources. The Viper's got 1,100 food. Mr. Yo barely 300. But again, choke point shenanigans can change the dynamic of a game in an instant. But now there's no more conquistadors, and now there's nothing to contest the insane and explosive power of these Janissaries. 26, lost only 4 in that engage with those conquistadors. And now there's more blue on the map than red. 124 villagers for Mr. Yo, but look at the army supply. 29 trash units are not even enough to deal with 29 Janissaries. And after an hour, it does seem like Mr. Yo is finally starting to collapse here. Treb firing very far off target. Bet he wishes these were Werewolf Trebs. And now the swarm has arrived to the shores of the Iberian coast. We'll see how Mr. Yo handles this. He does have only 25 supply. No defensive structures here left at all, except for one town center with 10 villagers in it. Nothing here to the west of his base. Nothing here protecting these villagers. Everything and everyone is exposed here to the absolute raiding power of the Turks. Double the army supply, 70 to 32. Viper. I feel like he usually would take these trades, halberdiers against hussars, if he could have his Janissaries move forward. But his food count is not the greatest. That being said, if his food count's not the greatest, Mr. Yo's food count is absolutely abysmal. By the way, Viper's starting to get infantry upgrades to deal with these halberdiers. And at the hour, 9-minute mark of the game, 487 hussars, 358. Take a look at the Viper's micro in the earlier parts of the game. Mr. Yo's peak also coming at the earlier parts of the game. Let's see, after all the relic switches, man, the Viper, 5 times as much relic gold as his opponent. Although overall, only what? 7,000 difference in resources. So if you ignore the relic gold, he only really mined, cut down, collected only 3,000 more resources than his opponent. Let's take a look. 3,000 more wood, about 4,000 more food. Stone he's behind. And what is this about? Less than 1,000 more gold advantage for Mr. Yo. Remember, their gold miners do work 20% faster. And so not a shock that he had more gold than his opponent, even with the relics, by the way. When you remove the relics from here, the difference is about 5,000. And so, you know, kudos to Mr. Yo here for his gold mining. Let's take a look at the kill count. Oh, juicy, juicy kill counts. The Viper approaching 700. Mr. Yo a little bit over 600. But the civilian kills, which were in the early stages of the game, very much in favor of Mr. Yo with all that. If you remember the Conquistador rating to the back, to the side back, everywhere. Now very much in favor of the Viper, almost twice as much, actually. Random Hussar here with 3 kills as well. Random Janissary here. Talk about random. A lumber camp about to be built and a Janissary just hanging out. You know, enjoying nature, smelling the trees. What kind of trees are we working with here today, by the way? Oh, these are oak. Okay, so a good, sturdy, strong tree here for this Janissary. Maybe he's doing target practice, like in Winter Soldier, where they take Captain America's shield, they wrap a bunch of padding around a tree, and then they just stand there throwing the shield at the tree. Maybe that's what the Janissary was doing. So they're going to do a little bit of target practice. For now, though, my goodness, 188 kills on these elite Janissaries. At the end of the day, the Viper just babysat his strongest units a lot better than Mr. Yo babysat his strongest units, which ended up dying here. Not saying that Mr. Yo babysat his units poorly. They lasted almost the entirety of the game. I'm just saying in this case, in this game, particularly the Viper managing his units a bit better. Let's take a look at his military industrial complex, because he was able to overwhelm his opponent. Again, villager count very similar, resource count, as we saw in terms of trash resources, very similar. So how come the Viper won where Mr. Yo failed? Take a look at the bottom left of your screen. 18 stables producing non-stop hussars. Our Spaniard, 7 stables. I think it was 8 if I remember correctly, but the one just got demolished. Let's call it 8. So the Viper, with literally 10 more stables than his opponent. And remember, when we looked, the villager food count back in the heyday, the peak, the prime of the action was identical at 83 for each one. So how come one managed to overwhelm the other? Because 18 is much higher than 8. I don't know how else to put it, but just an impressive economic macro game played here by the Viper created the infrastructure that just made him overwhelm his opponent. Mr. Yo, though, not exactly a bad macro either. Take a look at the positioning of the castles. Nice and defensive for his infrastructure. He was not backed down into a corner. These 3 castles are still standing. He quit. He resigned. He GG'd because he knew that the Viper was about to overwhelm his center, and he does not have the resources anymore to deal with any kind of aggression. He doesn't have enough gold for even a single treb. He doesn't have enough trash resources to sell to afford trebs, although maybe he can for just one. I don't think there's any more gold left anywhere on the map, unless I'm mistaken. And so Mr. Yo, realizing that he's about to get swamped by what's about to become 80 army supply out of our blue Turk, decides to GG after an insanely hard-fought battle. Oh, there is gold, but it's being taken by the Viper. Remember, Mr. Yo was mining this gold while this castle was under attack, and then this castle down south when he pivoted. But wow, what an intense battle here. The Viper, how many trebs did he lose until he finally altered his strategy and body blocked with a bunch of hussars? Mr. Yo, I think that's the moment where the scales tipped in the Viper's favor, because that's the moment where Mr. Yo rushed into this location with all of his conquistadors and started firing at the trebs that were up here. And we saw on the ground the bodies of what looked like maybe 8, 10, 11, 12 conquistadors. And from there, when your count is already low in the high 20 mark, and your opponent has 28 units of his own, and you lose a third, half of your strongest unit, that's when the tide turned. And that's when I think the Viper, even though, remember, he didn't end up losing the trebs except for one, I think except for one, but I'm not sure. That's when the, things pivoted in his favor, and using his extraordinary production capabilities, just managed to overwhelm Mr. Yo with bodies. And now even the infantry is coming to block out these halberdiers so that the hussars can start raiding. I'm not even sure he really needed this. This is more just styling on your opponent at this point. But the Viper, wow, with the more tenacious attack compared to Mr. Yo's tenacious hold. But I think just took a few better, smaller military engagements here in the center, which basically destroyed Mr. Yo's ability to wage war, because he did lose a huge chunk of his strongest units, the conquistadors, which were basically keeping him alive at that point. And like I said, 188 kills on these Janissaries tells me that the Viper was very interested in babysitting these guys. Although, remember, not a single monk anywhere around to heal them up, but very interested in babysitting these units until the very last possibility, which is exactly what he did. And that's why the Viper got the W, but GG to both players. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips and make sure to subscribe and enable notifications so that you're notified of my latest uploads.